Regulation I has finally been announced, and with that, we are finally moving to a double restricted format. Now, as you guys can see in front of you here, we have a little bit of a tier list. I will say, obviously, it's early days. The format hasn't even been out for a day yet, so I'm going to be tiering this a little different to what you normally have. As you guys can see here in front of you, we have the big three, the biggest winners, good mons, better than they were before, and the feels bad man tier. Now, look, this obviously is just, it's my initial thoughts. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm gonna say my opinion on a lot of these mons. Some of them might be good, some of them might be bad. Only time will tell, and that's kind of why I want to do this. I think it's pretty damn fun to just kind of discuss this stuff, especially early on. Now, let's start it off with the big three. In my opinion, nothing has really changed from the previous format. I think the three best Pokemon in the last format are probably the three best Pokemon in this format, and that is Miraidon, Calyrex Ice, and Calyrex Shadow. Now, jump over here onto Pokemon Showdown just to quickly talk about each of these Pokemon. So, Miraidon. So, Miraidon, in my opinion, and of course we have we have the April Fool's Day stuff here. But look, Miraidon, in my opinion, without a doubt, one of the best restricteds. I think originally I thought Miraidon may have actually had a bit of a drop off in this format, simply because, with double restricted, there's a bit more support going around, and it doesn't really put on the AoE pressure that things like the two Calyrex forms do. But after thinking about it, Amoonguss is like, pretty annoying for a lot of teams, right? There are a lot of, restricteds out there, things like Kyogre, Calyrex Ice, for example, that aren't the biggest fans of Amoonguss. Amoonguss can normally take a Water Spout, an Origin Pulse, whatever it might be, hit, Kyogre with a Spore, hit it with a Clear Smog, get rid of its buffs. And of course, Calyrex Ice Rider is a mon that typically likes to play under Trick Room. What better way to beat it than to underspeed it in its own Trick Room and put it to sleep? So, because of that, I think Miraidon is going to be a pretty splashable Pokemon just because it has electric terrain. And then on top of that, it still does have Electro Drift in terrain. It has Volt Switch for a bit of utility. And of course, it still gets things like, Strong Draco Meteor. It also gets, of course, things like Dazzling Gleam. I definitely could see as well worlds where maybe we start seeing like things like Overheat. Honestly, this mon does just have a lot of freaking potential in this format. I also think in terms of its items as well, while Choice Specs is still probably going to be king, I definitely see a world where we're going to see things like maybe Terra Electric, Choice Scarf as well. Life Orb I expect as well to be pretty good. Honestly, like one big thing is I also think people are going to just start dropping Fairy. I don't know why. I just have this weird feeling that in the current like metagame, or like at least in the Regulation I metagame, sorry, Fairy's probably like, it's still going to be good. Like, don't get me wrong, like Terra Fairy's like just solid with things like Dazzling Gleam, but I could definitely see a world where these things start running maybe like Terra Ghost. You could also see Terra Electric as well, which is probably going to be the main one in my opinion. Especially too, because like there's still not that many good ground types. Of course, Groudon I think does become a bit more viable, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But for now, I definitely think Miraidon will stay as one of the kings of the format. Its damage is just too high, and its speed stat is so damn good that if you play a team that just doesn't really have anything quick, Miraidon can just absolutely run through it. Calyrex Shadow, sorry, we'll go with Ice Rider first. I don't think much changes with this mon. I do think there's a lot of really cool pairings. As I mentioned before, I do think Calyrex and Miraidon could be really solid. Honestly, you could just take like the Arabega 6 and put Calyrex into the Giraffe slot, and I think the team's honestly still going to be fine. It's still really good as like a Trick Room mon. Of course, it has access to its main stat being Glacial Lance, High Horsepower, Sword Stance, all that good stuff. And yeah, I think this mon's still going to be absolutely incredible, right? It's going to be a Trick Room setup. You're probably going to be able to play it as well on some Tail Room stuff where like maybe you run it up to like 85 speed, similar to what Justin Tang did. And then at that stage, you can outspeed things like Landorus Incarnate and Tailwind. And as well, in Trick Room, you are still pretty damn slow. So as long as you aren't playing against a hard Trick Room team, this mon is still really, really good in that matchup. And again, look, I think this mon just has a lot of really good partners, right? As I said, Miraidon's fantastic with it because one, again, it allows you to kind of play this like Tail Room team. I think it also pairs incredibly well with Kyogre, giving it protection from, a lot of the fire type attacks, which can be pretty annoying for it. And yeah, I just expect to see this mon being pretty damn splashable. I think it's going to be pretty good in a lot of different archetypes. I could even see, hard Trick Room teams with things like Lunala, maybe even Dialga, but that's like probably not as good. I could definitely see it getting a little bit of play. But yeah, Calyrex still going to be one of the absolute dominant forces in the metagame. Its attack stat is stupid. Its ability is stupid. And yeah, I think it's going to be incredibly good. And then Calyrex Shadow Rider, look, it still does what it did before. And honestly, if anything, it's probably better than it was before. I think in a vacuum, it was still the best Pokemon in Regulation G. Its issue is the metagame was just really hostile towards it, right? Every team had at least, two normal or dark types combined. Some even had more, you would see double normal plus a dark type. And because of that, Calyrex did have a bit rough of a time. But in saying that too, I do think Calyrex, again, is a major winner of double restricted simply because you get to pair it with things like Koraidon or Zamazenta, right? These are two fighting types that are really strong. They threaten the Incineroars, the Chi-Yus. Of course, Zamazenta also has Wide Guard. One thing I kind of spoke about in my video earlier today is Calyrex plus Miraidon also enables Chi-Yu to kind of be like a third restricted in a sense, right? Because Chi-Yu's a mon where you put it in Sun, and its damage output is just insanely stupid. But also you pair it with Calyrex Shadow Rider, and Calyrex all of a sudden can run through, right? Especially with things like a Choice Scarf Chi-Yu. It outspeeds the Calyrex just, you can get some heat waves off to chip some things down, and then basically just start running through with, the Beads of Ruin, Astral Barrage. So definitely another mon I expect to see at the top of the metagame. In my opinion, yeah, these three here, the Miraidon, the Calyraxes, I think they are just the three best Pokemon in the game. So for the biggest winners of the format, I'm going to just go straight up with the two that I think are the biggest winners, which is Lunala and Zamazenta. But I also do think Zacian and Kyogre also fit into this tier as well. And look, I'll throw out a special mention because this mon I think has the potential to be there. I just can't put it there right now, and that is Ho-Oh. And again, I'll discuss it when I get to Ho-Oh. But I do think this mon actually has a lot of potential in the metagame. It's like honorable mention for the biggest winner. But for now, I do think I will keep it down in the I'll just keep it down the bottom here for now. So Lunala, why do I think Lunala is going to be good? So I think Lunala and Zamazenta, in my opinion, are two of the biggest winners for pretty simple reasons, really. Lunala has access to Wide Guard. When you look at the mons we just looked at, right, you've got Calyrax here, and you've got the other Calyrax here, and of course as well potentially a Dazzling Gleam set on the Miraidon. There's a lot of spread damage coming out right now, and honestly, one of the biggest issues with this format, or at least Regulation G, is we didn't have that many great Wide Guard users. There were some that were okay, but none on the level of Zamazenta or on the level of Lunala, which I do think is pretty important. I've also just realized too, I've grabbed the wrong Zama, so I'm gonna put him there. But yeah, Wide Guard right now is a big one. Moonguy's Beam as well is like really cool. One thing I personally like about Moonguy's Beam as well is it does ignore Unaware off of things like Dondozo, which can be really interesting for things like Meteor Beam sets as well, right? Of course, as well, there is, what's the other one I'm thinking of? Carmine variants as well. Granted, I don't think either of these are going to be as popular in this metagame, but the cool thing with Lunala is it can just fill many roles, right? This is a mon where it can be your Trick Room setter if you want it to. It can be a Tailwind setter if you want it to, right? Trick Room, Tailwind. It also gets a lot of like just really good status moves, right? Like if you have a look at the status moves this thing has, right? It can Calm Mind up if you want. It has Helping Hand as well, which is good. It has both screens. It has Moonlight as well, which could be really interesting when you pair it up with things like Koraidon, because it does get the buff there. Even Groudon as well. You've got things like Lunadon. Psychop can also be really interesting as well if you want to steal stats off mons. Of course, Sub's always a thing. Even gets access to Will-O-Wisp as well. Cosmic Power if you want to raise your defenses. You got the, Rain Dance and Sunny Day. So yeah, Lunala is just a mon that just, its support stats, or sorry, not support stats. Oops, sorry. Its support bag is just incredibly deep. But on top of that as well, it has a really good special attack stat, right? Like 137's, no joke. Terra Fairy is always going to be really good on this mon just because of a defensive typing. Pair that up with things like Moonblast, Blast, right? You got access to moves like Meteor Beam. You can still like, run something like this where you like 3 attack plus Wide Guard, and you just slap on a Power Herb on this mon. Power Herb, where are you there? Of course, as well, you could always like just drop one of these as well. Say, just drop, Moonblast or Moonguy's Beam and just go for Trick Room. Just run like 2 attack, 2 supportive moves. Yeah, Lunala, in my opinion, one of the biggest winners. I think this is such a splashable, secondary restricted, that I do expect to see it make, quite a bit of, an impact on the metagame. And Zamazenta, for similar reasons, right, is also really, really good, of course. Wide Guard is fantastic. I did speak about this mon being an incredible partner with Calyrex Shadow Rider, simply because, again, it deals with a lot of the dark types and the normal types that Cali doesn't want to deal with. And on top of that as well, it's just a really good Pokemon. It's probably the 4th best Pokemon in the previous format. Of course, it gets Wide Guard, it gets Body Press, it gets things like Iron Defense as well. And it also does just get a few decent, it gets a lot of options, right? You can go for things like coaching, right? You've got Helping Hand as well, which is really, really interesting. It can howl up its teammates. It has Imprison. This is another one that I was actually talking to the boys about over the weekend. You can just run something funny like this. Oh, what was the last move? There was like one other thing. You don't get Trick Room, right? No, you don't get Trick Room. Oh, there was one other. Oh, is it High Horsepower? Oh, there's one really funny move I'm trying to think of that I can't remember. Oh, I'm sure it had something that it could like stop them on from using. Oh, why do I have to blank now? Dude, I forget, right? It was something like this where it was like Wide Guard in. Oh, actually, yeah, maybe it was just Wide Guard in Prison. I feel like there was something else, but yeah, basically like if your opponent's way of beating Cali is like they just Wide Guard it, right? You can just like hardwall Zamazenta as well in the mirror and just run, run up like a little bit of speed, Imprison, Wide Guard. I do think that's also like really, really funny. But yeah, look, this mon as a support is fantastic. It has a very, very good typing. Body press in this metagame is really, really sick. And yeah, I expect Zamazenta to do pretty damn good. Now the other two, Zacian and Kyogre, I don't expect them to be quite on the same level as these two, especially in terms of usage. But Zacian is one of the biggest winners because I do think this mon in single restricted did get screwed a little bit more than the rest, simply because it doesn't have the, you know, the AoE damage, or the spread damage, I should say, to really run through games. And on top of that as well, it is a mon that can get intimidated down and doesn't have access to clear amulet. But in saying that, in this metagame, you know, you can pair it up with, you know, some mons that really help it out. Mainly a guy like Kyogre, for example, who can kind of just nuke the Incineroars when they come in. But yeah, I don't expect Zamazenta's set to change much. It's still going to be, you know, Behemoth Blade. That's Iron Defense, Scott. Iron Head. It's going to be like Behemoth Blade. God, I can't type apparently. Iron Head is going to be like Play Rough, Protect. And then normally on this mon, you could run Sacred Sword if you really need, you know, a fighting type coverage. Of course, you have access to Swords Dance as well. And the other one as well we've seen in the past. God, I'm really struggling to type here. And also recently as well, we've seen things like Terra Blast, right? And of course, Terra Water is very, very solid neutral typing on this mon. So even something like Terra Water, Terra Blast in rain with Kyogre, I do think could be pretty good. And of course, Kyogre is just another fantastic mon. I think in this metagame, again, you know, when you look at it, right, its pairing with Zacian's really good because you can, you know, mitigate the fire damage, similar things to with Calyrex Shadow Rider, Calyrex Ice Rider. I also think pairing with Miraidon also is really, really interesting, right, because you have one of the best spread damage restricted, paired up with one of the best single target restricted. And of course, as well, you get this thing where, you know, you could probably run something like Choice Scarf Thunder in electric terrain, which could be really, really good. As well, I believe we have seen way back in the day Terra Electric on Kyogre as well, just as like a weird offensive typing. That's fairy. How did I stuff that up? But yeah, something like that could be really good. Of course, you have Water Spout, right? You can slap like a Choice Scarf on this mon and have it go just absolutely insane paired up with Miraidon. So yeah, these are two mons that I definitely think will be really, really good. And again, if you look at some of the other restricteds here, I do think that, you know, Kyogre here could be really, really good, especially when, you know, we talk about some of the mons that I think are going to be good, right? And I'll kind of use that as a segue because I think the two Sunsetters in particular are both really, really solid right now. I think Koraidon, sorry, in particular paired up with Kali Shadow is going to be very, very good. I also have theorized a Miraidon Koraidon team. Now, I don't think it's going to be very good simply because it's just too offensive, right? You need a little bit of counterplay, you need a little bit of spread damage, and who knows, maybe that's where like Chiyu Fluttermane come in and kind of clean up. But as cool as I do think a combo they would be, especially with like Raging Bolt, that was another one. Like if you get Sun and Electric Terrain up, and then you have like a Beads of Ruin, Terra Electric boosted Raging Bolt, it can do like stupid damage, but like again, really hard to pull off in theory, in practice, right? And Groudon as well. I think, you know, when you look at a lot of these mons, right, it has a pretty solid matchup into Miraidon, pretty good into both the dogs. You know, maybe not the best into, you know, the Calyrex forms, but again, on the right team, definitely can do a lot of damage, especially when it is buffing up things like Chiyu, right? Chiyu is very, very good into the Calyrex forms, very, very good into Zamazenta, very, very good into Lunala as well. And of course, it's my GOAT, right? Also good into Zacian as well. I didn't mention that, but yeah, look, Chiyu's my GOAT. You'll probably hear me say it a lot, but yeah, these two are very, very good mons in my opinion. Who else do I want to slap in the good tier? Oh, that might be it, actually. I'm gonna just leave. I think that's how I'm gonna leave it for now. Again, Ho-Oh is like a mon I kind of want to put in the good tier, but it feels really hard to put it there. I'll kind of discuss it shortly. But yeah, look, with these two, I don't really think there's anything else for me to say. They both set Sun. Koraidon's an incredible partner for Calyrex Shadow in particular. But I could also see a world where you pair this thing up with something like Zacian, right? Basically, yeah, it could just be really, really solid. And then let's look at the better than before tier. So I'm going to put Ho-Oh there. He's my GOAT. Technically, I do think the Dialga forms and the Palkia forms get better. Eternatus, I don't know if it's... Yeah, it is probably better than before. And then probably something like this. Can I put these two in there? Oh, I'm like... It's one of those things where, like, I see potential for Solgaleo. I just don't know if it's ever worth it. Ray can probably go in here as well, just because of its ability. And, like, Reshiram, like, maybe if Sun gets, like, OP and you need something to just, like, 4x it. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. So, Ho-Oh. Let's talk about why I think Ho-Oh is good, right? So, if we quickly flick over here and we just look at my guy Ho-Oh, right? Has access to Regenerator, a fantastic ability. It gets Sacred Fire, which is like a very, very good move. You get Brave Bird, which again is very, very good. Has access to things like Tailwind. I believe it gets, no, it doesn't get Roost, it gets Recover. Right, so again, just a very, very solid set here. Do you get U-turn? I think no, you don't. Damn, you don't get Vault. You don't get part. Oh, that's Hyper Voice. Do you get like? I don't think it gets any form of yet. I was gonna say it doesn't get anything to actually like let it get out of there. But yeah, look, really cool. Do you get Swords Dance? No, you don't. Damn. But yeah, so really, really cool mon. I think its moveset probably doesn't have that much flexibility. Helping Hand could be cool on it. Will-O-Wisp is like, why would I click Willow when you just click Sacred Fire? But yeah, look, that's probably gonna be its like best moveset is something like this. Maybe you drop one of the two support moves to something like what's it called, Protect. But yeah, look, when you look at Ho-Oh's stats, it's pretty solid, right? I do wish its special attack stat was like swap with its defense, but attack stat at 130 is pretty good. I think a lot of people actually underestimate how good that is. Its 150 force per def is very, very high, and 106 HP is pretty damn solid. Its biggest issue as a mon, obviously, is its speed stat and its defensive stat. The defensive stat is kind of mitigated by the fact that Sacred Fire is really good at, like, you know, 50% of the time it can burn, which could definitely save it on the physical end. And of course, its speed stat, while it's like nothing crazy, it really doesn't need that much investment on a, you know, potential Tailwind team with something like this, right? You know, you could run a set like this, which just allows you to, you know, maximize your bulk, run a set like this potentially. Now, I'm not saying this is optimal by any means, but yeah, something like this could definitely be cool. Of course, Clear Amulet is like a really solid move on it. I have even seen people say stuff like Rocky Helmet plus Regenerate or Recover. I don't know how I personally feel about it. Covet Cloak's like probably a little bit better in that regard. But yeah, I could definitely see a world where Ho-Oh is very, very good. Especially when you start looking at a lot of these top restrictors, right? Now, in saying that, Miraidon, without a doubt, is this one's worst matchup. I like looked at it, like even if you like go max defense, you still just get one shot by Drift. It's like, it's really not worth it. The Kali Ice matchup is interesting because you could definitely like try to calc it to live two Glacial Lances potentially. But of course, the best thing about it is if like you are able to live like one Glacial Lance, that means you can fire off two Sacred Fires. And at that point, you know, it's more likely than not you're gonna, you know, get the burn. And yeah, if you get the burn, then it becomes a lot easier. The Kali Shadow matchup is interesting because while I would say it's probably still favored towards Kali Shadow, you can chunk it for quite a bit of damage, and you do have enough speed def where even at +1 you can still live, even if you've lost a little bit of HP. The Lunala matchup is like kind of whatever, right? You know, I wouldn't say it's favored either way. Neither one hits the other one for super effective damage, so it is what it is. But Zamazenta and Zacian as well. If these mons do pick up like I expect, it resists all of them, right? You resist the Body Press, you resist the Behemoth Bash, and you resist the Play Rough and the Behemoth Blade. So its ability to wall out both of these while also threatening burns, I do think is very, very good. Of course, matchup into Kyogre, pretty damn average. But its matchup into Koraidon, also very good, right? You resist the CC and you resist the Flare Blitz, which is very solid. And of course, as well, Groudon, this likes to run Precipice Blades and it likes to run Heat Crash. So again, when you look at a lot of the matchups here, there are, you know, 4 mons it has a really, really good matchup into. 2 that it has like a decent enough matchup into. 2 that's like a bad matchup, and the 1 that's like a whatever matchup, right? So Ho-Oh is definitely a mon where I think if you have like really, really bad weaknesses, you can bring Ho-Oh in. It's going to be good, right? And it's definitely a better mon than I think the rest of the mons I put in this tier. If I was to like rank them, it's probably something like this. Yeah. I'll go with that. So Eternatus is another interesting one. Like, I don't know how good this is going to be. I'm personally a huge fan of Eternatus. I do think the Meteor Beam stuff is pretty damn cool with Power Herb. Which I know like other people like to run a different set. You know, I just like, right? You got pressure. You just, you know, you throw off some Meteor Beams, right? You do some cool stuff. Also, with the rise of Wide Guard as well, you could put this next to a mon like Zamazenta and spam out, of course, your... what am I thinking of? Sludge Waves. You can spam out Sludge Waves, which I do think are pretty damn good. Of course, as I said, Wide Guard is on the rise. You know, I guess you don't have to click Wide Guard if you're next to a Zamazenta. But yeah, Sludge Wave is definitely really, really cool as well with, you know, a lot of steel types like Zamazenta and Zacian running around. Potentially pair with the 2 of them and deal quite a bit of damage. But of course, things like Sludge Bomb is always just going to be really, really solid as well. The other set as well is the Cosmic Power stuff, right? You got like Cosmic Power, you got Recover, and you got Pressure. So you basically just like buff yourself up. You put the pressure on your opponent, and eventually you just kind of take them to timer and you win the game. So yeah, Eternatus, because of that's going to be pretty cool. We'll quickly talk about Dusk, what is it, Dawn Wings here. Because again, this is a mod that I'm like, where is it here? It's like somewhere here, right? Duskmane. Yeah, sorry, Dawn Wings. So Dawn Wings is an interesting one because, like, when you look at its stats, right, like, it looks really good. HP is a bit lower than Lunala's, but its defenses and special attack are all pretty damn insane. It has a lot of the, you know, same moves, right? It gets access to things like Expanding Force. It gets access to Moon Guy's Beam. I think it also gets like Photon Geyser as well, yeah, which is like pretty interesting. Probably run that over E-Force. But I think its biggest issues is it's just its ability, right? Like, it's just not as good as you know, what's Lunala get? It's like I know what it does. I just forget the name of it. Yeah, wait, I thought I said multi-scale. Yeah, Shadow Shield. Shadow Shield is just better, right? Like if you're at full HP, you just take half damage, which is yeah, just better than this, I believe, personally. Basically just multi-scale. But look, it still does have a niche. It is kind of forced into Trick Room. It doesn't have the ability to play Tail Room as easy. Like as you can see, it feels pretty awkward putting 116 speed on this mod. Like at that point, you just like run Lunala and you're already faster. But yeah, like I could definitely see a world where Necrozma is like kind of okay. I'll quickly talk about Ray here too before we jump onto the rest. I simply think Ray could be interesting for the simple fact that you have a look here, right? You have weather here, weather here, weather here, right? Of the, what's that, 9 best Pokemon in the format, 3 of them set weather, which is interesting. But like other than that, I don't think it's gonna be like that amazing. Pretty bad matchup into Cali Ice, pretty bad matchup into Miraidon. The Cali Shadow is kind of like whatever. You can't really E-speed it. It's like you would need to pair it with like something like Chen Power that baits the Terra out of it. Same thing goes for Lunala as well. And yeah, like it's one of those things where like you're playing Rayquaza to get rid of terrain. To get rid of weather, right? And like maybe because of that it's better, but as much as I love my goat, I just don't think it's really doing much about it. And then finally we have the Generation 4 legendaries. Now, this is like interesting because I do think like there's some stuff it can do, right? Like, or both of them at least. But again, it's like it feels so weird, right? Because Dialga is like maybe a good Trick Room mon. Like it has the tools to be a Trick Room mon, right? Like when you look at its stats here, you know, again, it can play in like Tail Room where like you run a little bit of speed, has a really good special attack stat. It's, you know, typing is pretty solid. It gets access to things like Draco Meteor, right? It gets the Flash Cannon. It can do some things like as a Trick Room mon as well. You can pair it with things like Ursaluna, and it's like, hey, I can set Trick Room and you can spam Earthquakes next to me. In terms of items, I don't even like know what you'd want to run on this guy, honestly. Like maybe Cloak is okay. Like, is there anything? Like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like I see the potential with Dialga, but I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's I don't think it's the play. The origin form's like the exact same. Basically, you take attack and put it into Spadef, and then you give yourself better stabs. But again, it's like you're like a Trick Room bot, right? It's like, yeah, I'm a Trick Room guy. You know, you just put me next to like a friend that does like spread damage, right? Like put me next to, I don't know, a Kyogre with like Surf. Put me next to an Ursaluna with Earthquake. Like, I don't know. It feels kind of awkward. Like, again, I definitely think you could use it. Like, if that's what you're planning to do, this mon, like it's not bad, right? Like as a secondary restricted that that wants to, you know, like be in Trick Room, it's solid, right? Like I guess it gets like Tier Wave, it gets Gravity. Maybe that's the play, like Gravity plus Groudon. Like, man, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Metal Sound, is that cool? Metal Sound in Trick Room, like yeah, I don't know. Like again, the Dialgas, I think they're better because again, double restricted, they can be that secondary restricted that says Trick Room, but personally just not a massive believer. Palkia in like Palkia is interesting, right? Because in a metagame where like Kyogre is like a top threat, Palkia is always good, right? It's a 4x resistance to it, which is like fantastic. Palkia's biggest issue, in my opinion, is like, why run this when you have like Palkia at home that also doesn't take up a restricted slot? But it's also like, oh, hey, I'm like scared of rain. Well, I can just play Walking Wake with Sun and it's like, it's good, right? Like, yeah, Wake stats aren't as good, but like, I don't know, man. They're close enough. Like, outside of that special defense stat, like, they're definitely close enough. But yeah, look, it can also click Trick Room as well. I think this mon literally only sees play if Kyogre's like really, really good, right? Telepathy's like, again, it's whatever. Like, maybe it's okay, but like, both its abilities are pretty suboptimal. Especially like when you compare like pressure to things like as one, it's like, yeah, there's no real comparison, sadly. I will say though, Palkia Origin is like maybe interesting because it has the better speed stat, right? This here, I think, is the big difference between the two. Regular Palkia has 100 speed. This thing has 120. This thing's actually quick, right? So you actually don't need that much investment. Like, I'm trying to think, what would you do? Like, do you go for the Ogerpon Rock? Like, probably not. Like, that's your Landorus speed tier. Like, this is like probably also okay. Like, I don't know about EVs yet. Yeah, that's a thing for another day. But yeah, I mean, Lustrous or buffing up the water and dragon types on this actually makes a bit more sense, right? Because you get Draco Meteors, right? Which is like pretty damn good. You're also pretty quick. You also get, is it Spatial? Yeah, sorry, Spatial Rend is probably the better one anyway. Oh, this dude doesn't get a water type move though, does it? I'm pretty sure it just gets Pump. Yeah, that's where this mon kind of falls off, I guess. It just gets a fat pumpy. I mean, like, maybe there's a world where, like, you run it like Surf or, like, Pump, but... Yeah, I don't know. Like, again, I see the world where it's, like, okay, but, like, this moveset here actually just makes me cringe. Do you get, like, Focus Energy? You don't even get Focus Energy. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I put these ones in, like, the better than before tier, but, like, it just... Like, I don't know. I feel like Eternatus and Ho-Oh are just, like, better mons than the rest of them, if I'm being honest. But yeah, look, we'll move on. Actually, you know what, dude? If I've got these guys here, I think my guy Kieran White at least deserves to be here. Kieran White is like a good snow setter away from actually being good. I'm just gonna throw him in here because I really like him. Kieran White actually has solid stats. Its speed stats okay. Its special attack stat is kind of nutty, and its bulk is like pretty solid. I do think, yeah, if you pair it with like something that allows it to click Blizzard, it's pretty good. But yeah, like realistically, like it is probably better than these guys, but I don't know. They're all like pretty. Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna say, or I'm gonna make a new tier. I'm gonna make a new tier. Road below. Yeah, this is just the okay tier. Yeah, these guys are just okay, and I'm just gonna like put all of you guys in here. If I'm gonna put all you guys in here, Reshiram probably gets to go in there as well. Reshi's like whole thing is like if Sun's really good, it can like take Sun, right? It 4x resists Sun. But again, the issue with Reshiram right now is like, why run Reshiram when something like, I don't know, what's his name? Why am I blanking on it? Gouging Fire. Like, Gouging Fire exists. It's like, you know, it's like, hey, I also get like Photosynthesis. You have Turbo Blaze. Like, I don't know, dude. Like, again, I think it's okay, but it's like, just run Gouging Fire at that point, I think. And then, yeah, the Feels Bad Man tier. Now, I will say, I don't think either dog is in the Feels Bad Man tier. They're probably just in the okay tier. I just don't see the point in talking about them when their other forms are just far superior, in my opinion. Ooh, okay, this is like my hot take. I'm actually gonna make another tier, probably like below this one. Add below. We're gonna make you green. Yeah, we'll make you gray. And this is the worse than before tier. Yeah, this is worse than before. Probably should have planned this out a bit better in advance. Hey, but this is just the guy, Terapagos. So let's talk about Pagos really quickly, because this guy does probably need to be mentioned a little bit. And honestly, it might be a bit disrespectful having him below Eternatus, but I stand by it here. Terra Pagos. So the thing with Terapagos, right? I do think it's pretty obvious, right? This here is not a restricted legendary Pokemon, right? This here is a restricted legendary Pokemon. The difference is this needs to click Terra. I just don't think in a metagame where things like Zamazenta are probably going to be like 40% usage, Koraidon's going to be like probably 10 to 15% usage. I just feel like it, okay, maybe I over-exaggerated that Zama. Zama's probably not going to be 40, it's going to be like 30. But yeah, I just don't know how you can justify playing this mon when the two fighting restrictors are going to be really good, and this thing always has to Terra. Like, I've seen people saying like, oh, it doesn't have to Terra. I'm like, yeah, like maybe it doesn't, but like, I don't know, dude. Like, this just feels like a waste of a restricted slot, honestly. It's a Terra Hog. Like, maybe there's a world where like Pagos Nala is good, right? Maybe it's like, hey, you know, I'm going to use Lunala as my answer to the fighting types, right? And, you know, maybe if you're like a god tier player, you can play around it, but I don't know. As of right now, I do think this is the one Pokemon that definitely got worse in this format, simply because, again, fighting types are going to be really good. It's a Terra Hog. You don't always want to Terra this mon. Like, imagine you're in a game where they've got, like, Koraidon and Incineroar, and it's like, oh, okay, my Lunala just gets knocked. This gets CC'd. Kind of shit, you know, shit out of luck, yeah. So, yeah, Pagos, yeah, you're worse than before. Yeah, they're both just going to go there. And then the Feels Bad Man tier, dude. I'm just going to put them all here. I don't think I need to go too in-depth with, like, most of them. We'll, like, quickly talk about them, though, right? So, we'll start off with my GOAT Mewtwo. I absolutely love this mon, and, like, fingers crossed when, I just feel with it, I like that. Fingers crossed when the Megas, or, you know, potentially Megas and Champions come back. This guy doesn't have to deal with Calyrax, because that is, like, the one thing really screwing it. But yeah, why run this when you could just run this? It's like the same thing, it's just one's clearly better than the other. It's like this one has as one. This one has Pressure and Unnerve. This one also has Unnerve. So it's like you get Unnerve and then you get like as one, or like what's it called? Gripping Nay on top of this. Like I don't know, dude. It's slower, it doesn't hit as hard. Its bulk is like basically the same. It's worse on the special end. Yeah, unfortunately Mewtwo is like, it is just worse Calyrex. Plus it also doesn't have Astral Barrage. Like, yeah, dude, feels bad, man, for Mewtwo. That's my go, but he's just not good. Lugia, this one's just, it's not good. Like, you have to calm mind this thing like 8 times, and you need to protect it. And in a metagame where there's 2 restricted, it's just not good, yeah. Shout out to the one guy at Brisbane that beat Nick Khan, one of the goats with it. The guy, he brought Lugia like Riolu and beat one of the best players in Australia, which is crazy. And Nick like top 8'd and lost to Woods. That's kind of funny. But yeah, this guy's not it. It's like, it's also like Aeroblast is like, yeah, it's good, but it's like, it misses, and I don't even know what else you want to run, right? You probably want something that hits like, probably like Earth Power, right? You need to be able to hit like the Rock and Steel types. But yeah, this mon kind of feels bad, man. In theory, it's great, but it's like 20 special attack off actually being good, I think. The Giratina forms. Now, Giratina, let's be honest, it's a bad one, right? Giratina is just like, I know some people were playing it, but it's like, again, it's pressure, it's telepathy, they're bad. Its stats are like, yeah, it's bulky, but it like doesn't hit hard. It also, like, I don't think it even gets Poltergeist. Okay, I lied, it gets Poltergeist. To get like Shadow Force, like, I mean, maybe like Shadow, yeah, I don't know, dude. This one is like, it's like, why would you run a Ghost Restricted that like isn't like Kali or Nala, right? Like, at least Lunala's like, hey, I've got all like the support moves. It's like, do you get Wide Guard? No. Like, what status moves do you get? Do you get anything? Like, I'm not Calm Minding up. Pain Split's kind of meh. Thunderwave, Will-O-Wisp. I mean, it's just, yeah, like, you look at this support kit and then you look at Lunala's and it's like, yeah, Giratina just isn't it. And the other form is basically the exact same, right? It's like, you're forced to run an item, you gain Levitate, but like, you're still slow as shit. You lose your bulk, and 120 attack just isn't that special. Like, when you look at these mons, right? Calyrex has 165. Dialga, who's a special attacker, has 120. So it's like Giratina, who's a, you know, probably a physical attacker, also has 120, pretty bad. Groudon 150, Ho-Oh 130, Groudon 135, plus it has an ability that boosts that boosts its physical attack. Hell, Kyurem has 130 attack. Kyurem White has 120. Like, Kyurem White's a special attacker and has the same attack as Giratina. Yeah, it's just mid. Zekrom, yeah, look, Zekrom, another one I actually kind of like. But I'll leave it pretty simple, right? This is an electric dragon. The best electric dragon is this guy. The second best electric dragon is Raging Bolt. The third best electric dragon is Zekrom. I think that's all I really need to say. And then, of course, we have, what was that guy here? Kyurem Black. Now, Kyurem Black is, like, kind of in the exact same position where it's like, you know, it loses that electric typing, it goes Ice Dragon, and it's like, oh, you have to, like, run Clear Amulet. But, like, its best set is probably, like, Loaded Dice. Like, when I think about what you want to run on this one, it's like, you want to run Loaded Dice, you want to run Scale Shot, and you want to run, like, Icicle Spear, because, like, Icicle Spear is its best stab. Like, do you even get Ice Spinner? You don't even get Ice Spinner, man. You get Crash, right? It doesn't even get Crash? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it has to run Icicle Spear. It kind of has to run Loaded Dice, and its attack stat's really good, but it just gets intimidated. Like, Incin resist this. It doesn't care about this at -1. Yeah, again, it just feels bad. Like, if you want an Ice Dragon, just run Kyurem White, I think. And then finally, you know, I feel bad for putting this guy here. Like, maybe he's, like, better than this, but I think Solgaleo and Duskmane are just, like, really average. These are definitely the mons I would say could surprise me the most. I just look at the stats, look at the abilities, the typing, the movesets, right? Like, I think, like, yeah, you get Heavy Slam, right? It also, there's another Steel move, right? What am I forgetting? What's a signature move? So yeah, this one. There's probably, you probably run something like this, right? Because you, like, Heavy Slam against Restricteds is, like, a bit more damage. And then, like, you get Fangs, right? You get Psychic Fangs, yeah. So, like, I don't know. It's like, maybe it's like something like this. You don't even SD, man. That's trash, dude. That's trash. Yeah, look, this one has a lot of utility. I just don't think its stats or its typing's all that good. And again, like, when I look at this, like, Steel Electric, right? You just lose to Kali Shadow. Kali Ice tends to run ground type attacks. Yeah, you can fire off, you know, a Sunsteel Beam into it, but, like, it's just gonna, like, go Terra and just be like Terra Water. Miraidon, like, also doesn't care. Like, resist your stabs and it just, like, fires off, like, E-Drifts and probably just, like, one-shots you. And, like, most of these mons here are the same. Your attacks either just bounce off or you just get out-traded. So, yeah, I don't think Solgaleo is all that good. Duskmane, like, maybe in Trick Room it's good. Like, maybe you play, like, Side Bulldoze Weakness Policy. You could probably do the same thing with, like, Solgaleo and Full Metal Body. You just, like, you know, you just get like weakness policy, you side bulldoze, lower everyone's speed, but still Gallios, and then like do some damage. But yeah, I don't know, dude. I will say like the one thing in the past that I thought these guys had going for them was like Sunsteel Strike ignores abilities, so like you could snipe people's Terrapagoses if they weren't ready. But yeah, other than that, I don't know, dude. I think these mods are pretty bad. Like, yeah, they have Trick Room, they're bulky, you know, they fire off some attacks, but yeah, I'm just not a believer in them, sadly. Like maybe they belong in the OK. You know what? I'm gonna say they belong in the OK tier because it's like, yeah, like I think they're probably better than Reshiram. Yeah, I think it was a bit disrespectful putting him in the Feels Bad Man tier. I also really don't like how that looks. We'll go with that there. But yeah, I think this is gonna be my tier list. Honestly, I think like this here is gonna be your top 9 mons. Without a doubt, I do think Pagos is like the main fall off for this format. Look, I'm willing to be pleasantly surprised. Like maybe there's a world where Pagos actually doesn't just like fall off in a cliff entirely. But yeah, I do think this is probably it. These are probably gonna be your 10 best mons. Ho-Oh might slip in as number 10. Because again, it just has such a good matchup into like most of these mons, right? Like 4 really positive matchups, 1 like probably favorable matchup, 1 like whatever matchup, and then like so it's like 2 whatever matchups and like 1 bad matchup. Like I think only having 1 like bad, oh sorry, 2 bad matchups. I forgot Kyogre. Like only having 2 bad matchups in the top 10 is like pretty damn solid if you ask me. But yeah, I guess that's my list, guys. Let me know down below what you think. Of course, this is just my first thoughts, right? I'll probably be back in a few days with like a proper tier list, ranking them all and giving a bit more in-depth thoughts once we actually, you know, the metagame kind of develops a little bit. I get to grind out some more games, of course, and whatnot. But yeah, let me know down below what you think of this, and yeah, catch you guys in the next one. Peace.